Brian Mbuemo, Antoine Semenyo, Mohamed Kudus, Xavi Simons, Eberechi Eze. 5 attackers who have been reputably linked with Tottenham over the last few weeks. But the question is, which one should the club sign this summer? Perhaps that's a trick question. Perhaps Tottenham should sign more than one attacking midfielder or winger this summer. And I actually think that we should, particularly with the circumstances and the scenario based around the club. Heung-min Son, we don't know if he's staying or going. Saudi Arabia have got that huge interest in him. They're willing to pay 35 million euros or pounds, whatever it may be, to potentially take him. So we could be in a scenario where we may be losing our captain, one of our long-standing wingers, one of our best players, if we're realistic about it. So those 5 options I just listed off, should we only be targeting one of those, or should we be targeting multiple? And who should top the list for Thomas Frank to recruit this summer? That is the big question, and I want to break it down. I want to talk about it. Which players would be more beneficial to Tottenham and who is going to have the biggest impact in this new era under Thomas Frank as we look to compete on 4 fronts: Champions League, Premier League, Carabao Cup, FA Cup, something that Ange Postecoglou was unable to do, something that Thomas Frank is hopefully going to be able to do, but he needs the squad to be able to do it. Now, I put a poll out on Twitter earlier in the day asking who people would pick out of these options. Most favourable option out of the 5? Eberechi Eze. So let's start with him, shall we? Eberechi Eze, is he someone that Tottenham Hotspur should and can sign this summer? Well, the short answer is yes. There is a lot of reports going around that Tottenham have a £300 million budget to spend on players this summer. So it should be easy, right? Pull the trigger, spend 100 or 120 million on 2 of these players. It's not that simple. Eberechi Eze is the first big problem when we look at these attackers that I've just mentioned. He has a £69.5 million release clause. And you might look at that and you think, that's worth the money. Let's pay that, Daniel Levy. Let's get Eberechi Eze in Lily White. He is one of the most Tottenham players to have not played for Tottenham. Remember when James Maddison played for Leicester? It's a similar scenario to that. Everybody feels like Tottenham and Eberechi Eze go together. We should have signed him before he went to Crystal Palace from QPR. We didn't, and it seems like there may be another opportunity to do so this summer. However, that release clause that I just mentioned, Crystal Palace want all of that up front, essentially. So we're looking at one lump payment for Eberechi Eze, and that is a problem. As much as I would love to sit there and go, the politics of financial football these days is that we have enough money in the bank to just pay that. That is not how football transfers work. They often come in small instalments over a number of years, and Crystal Palace have done this purposefully because they obviously don't want to lose their best player at the moment. He's just won the FA Cup. Crystal Palace are in the Europa League. Eze is the guy they want to lead them into this exciting 25-26 season under Oliver Glasner. So this release clause, it works in their favour. If someone pays it, brilliant. They get a huge amount of money up front. If not, fantastic. Eberechi Eze continues to be their elite playmaker, winger, attacker, role model going into what could be one of the most exciting seasons in Crystal Palace history. And the other question is this: does Eberechi Eze fit into a Thomas Frank system? Well, the short answer again is yes, he does. However, there's a slight problem. Eberechi Eze, we know that he can play as a number 10, he can play on the wing, he can play as a false 9, he could even play a slightly deeper midfield role if asked of. However, this is where the problem comes into things. We already have James Maddison at the club. He plays in that number 10 role. Thomas Frank doesn't naturally play more than one number 10. He does love to have that creative midfielder. So, would Eberechi Eze come into this Tottenham team and automatically become a starting player? Would he displace James Maddison and play in place of him, or would he play alongside him? Now, that is a question you'd have to ask Thomas Frank, but if I had to guess, I'm not entirely sure that there would be room for Eberechi Eze and James Maddison to both play in midfield together. That is an issue that I see. Would Eze then be shunted out into the wide positions? Well, yes, he absolutely could be, but is that his strongest position? And I'm not entirely sure that it is. Eberechi Eze is someone I feel thrives in that number 10, that creative attacking role where he can exploit the spaces, but also have the room to run at people. He loves to drift out wide. He loves to come into the middle. It's perfect. And there is a space where he would slot in wonderfully under Thomas Frank. I do truly believe that. But I don't know if it is a reality this summer. Tottenham have had a long-standing interest in Eberechi Eze, but does Thomas Frank have a long-standing interest in Eberechi Eze, or is he going to trust the likes of James Maddison or Kulusevski to play in those midfield roles instead? It's a very, very interesting one. So short answer, can we sign Eberechi Eze? Yes. Should we sign Eberechi Eze? I don't know if out of those 5 attackers, he is the most logical of signings. As much as I would love him and he would top my list, I think he's a brilliant player. I don't know if that is a move that would work for the cohesion and the adaptation that Thomas Frank is going to want to implement on this Tottenham team. So if not Eze, then who? Well, I think Bryan Mbeumo and Mohamed Kudus, they are 2 players that come next in this list for players that would be really, really good for Tottenham. Let's talk about Bryan Mbeumo first, because we know there's a little bit of a problem with this potential transfer. Manchester United heavily interested in signing him from Brentford. Brentford know that Manchester United want him. They're playing hardball, and there have been all of these reports suggesting that Tottenham have placed a near £70 million bid for Mbeumo in an effort to get a deal struck quickly to reunite Thomas Frank and Bryan Mbeumo in the same squad, move them both from West London to North London. And to be honest with you, I would love this move. I think Bryan Mbeumo would be absolutely fantastic. He can play as a false 9. He can play as either winger. He is dynamic, he is quick, he is sharp, he is only getting better as well. He is scoring more and more goals each season. Last season in the Premier League, 20 goals in the top flight, 7 assists in 38 games. That is an exceptional return. Only 25 years old. So you can see why Brentford are asking for such a huge amount of money for this talisman. You know, they've got Yohan Wissa, they've got Mbeumo, this dynamic duo that fits so well together in Brentford. And the main reason they finished 10th under Thomas Frank last season, and the main reason why Manchester United and Tottenham, whoever else in the Premier League, are so desperate to sign him. I think if we can convince him to come to Tottenham, this is a move that genuinely could happen. I know there's all of these talks that Manchester United are going to sign him and that he only wants Manchester United. I'm not sure I quite believe that. I genuinely think we stand a chance of having Mbeumo at Tottenham next season. And where would he fit into Thomas Frank's system? That is very easy. He can play as a right winger. He would displace, in my opinion, someone like Brennan Johnson. Wilson Odobert is probably not quite ready to be that starter week in, week out. He can rotate with Dominic Solanke as the striker. Richarlison, if he manages to stay. He can play out on the left. He can compete with Matthias Tell, with Heung-min Son if he stays. He can play across that entire front line, and he can even do a job in midfield. He is a worker. He is a runner. He is someone that will chase down every single ball. He will work hard for the team, and we love that at Tottenham. We love those players under Ange Postecoglou. Thomas Frank, we know, loves him, and if he does come to Tottenham, that is a fantastic move. Mohamed Kudus, then, he is someone that we've had tiny links about. We've potentially been offered the chance to sign him from West Ham. The issue is this: West Ham want close to £80 million for Kudus, and that, to me, is ridiculous. Now, there is no doubting that at West Ham, the 2 best players in that squad, Jarrod Bowen, Mohamed Kudus, 2 phenomenal players in their own right. We have seen in the past, Mohamed Kudus has had attitude problems. He has had strops. We saw the red card he got against Tottenham before. He is a potential problem. And Thomas Frank has what he calls a no dickhead policy. He does not like to bring players into a squad that he thinks are going to be a problem. And that is a potential for Kudus. He could come in and disrupt the dressing room. He could have a bit of an ego. And I'm just not sure whether Thomas Frank will want to take the risk on that, regardless of his quality. I do actually think that Kudus could bring perhaps the most out of all of these players to this Tottenham squad. He is someone that is so direct. He can so easily beat his man in a one-on-one situation. It is brilliant to just sit and watch him play football. It's a joy. He would automatically be one of Tottenham's best players. The question is, does he fit into the squad? And perhaps the answer to that is no. But again, it's dynamic. We are looking at so many dynamic forwards can play all the way across that front line. Left, right centre. We know what he's about. We've seen him. He went through a very impressive spell. The only issue is his returns. Only a handful of goals in the Premier League last season, and you could argue that's because he played for a weak West Ham team. It wasn't a problem for Bowen though. We finished 17th in the league last season and all of our wingers scored more goals than him. So there is that potential hiccup. So who does that leave? We have got Antoine Semenyo. Again, Bournemouth asking for a ridiculous fee for this winger. And no doubt, Semenyo is brilliant. He did wonders for me in FPL last season. He got me a lot of points. He was a budget winger that we could all rely on. But Bournemouth do not see him that way. They see him as one of their most valuable players. And they want, in the reports that have come out, a larger fee than what we paid for Dominic Solanke last season. That's a problem. And as a result, Tottenham, as it stands, have called their interest in Antoine Semenyo. And I cannot blame them. He is, again, a very good player. He is someone that can play primarily on the left. You'd potentially be looking at him as a long-term replacement for Heung-min Son. 11 goals, 5 assists for Bournemouth under Andoni Iraola last season in the Premier League. Really stellar campaign, helped them finish just outside of the European places. An integral part to that, he is speedy. And the best thing, the most important thing about Semenyo, who's 25 years old as well, by the way, is his power. His burst of speed, his ability to be able to get away from the defender in a flash. He needs to work on a few things. He needs to be a bit more clinical with his finishing. His decision making needs to be a bit better. And that's the reason why I don't think he should be valued at 70 million quid. And maybe he's worth that to Bournemouth. But for a club shopping with so many targets on the market for Spurs, I don't think he is the one. So that just leaves Xavi Simons. Again, so versatile. He is someone that I think would play in so many different positions, perhaps the most positions out of these targets that I've mentioned. 10, left wing, right wing, striker, any of them. He is, again, all of these players that we're shopping around for are around the 70 million mark, and I think we will end up spending that money on at least one of them. My gut feeling is we get one of these 5 players. I don't think we'll sign 2. Things may change if we sell Son, but we won't sell Son very quickly, particularly not when we're due to go to Korea for our pre-season tour this summer as well. It's going to be a long old summer transfer saga potentially with him, and we're not going to know until the very last possible minute. So Simons, Leipzig, left PSG to join Leipzig last summer, has a £70 million sort of figure attached to him. He has reportedly informed RB Leipzig that he wants to leave, and we have inquired about his availability and the price that sort of Leipzig want, which I have just mentioned. 11 goals, 8 assists across all competitions in the German divisions last season. Someone who is raw still. He's the youngest of sort of the targets that we're pursuing. He's 22 years old. He's got a lot of talent, but I think with how we're shopping and what we're looking for, Xavi Simons maybe falls towards the bottom of that list because I think we're looking for Premier League proven and a bit more experience. Ange Postecoglou made it very clear at the end of his reign as Tottenham boss that Tottenham's squad needs some Premier League experience in their ranks. And obviously, Simons does not fall into that category. Although I love watching him play. He's got that dynamism. You know when you watch the likes of Michael Olise for Bayern Munich, those types of players, Doué for PSG. He has that sort of flair and aura about him. Maybe not as good as either of those two players, but the potential to get to that level, just so unpredictable with what he's going to do, so creative, has great vision, and I genuinely think he would help us score a lot more goals than we already do, which is saying something considering our goal scoring record last season. We have a definitive sort of list of these 5 players that Tottenham want to sign. Xavi Simons maybe is at the bottom of that list. Then perhaps in terms of importance and what we need, Antoine Semenyo maybe comes just above him. Then we've got the 3. Eberechi Eze, Mohamed Kudus, and Brian Mbeumo. I don't know who we're going to end up pursuing. If I had to be honest, right now, out of the ones there, I would probably pick Mbeumo. If not, I would pick Eze. And that's my heart saying that I want Eze more than anything. Mbeumo would make the more sense. And it all depends on Manchester United and whether they actually are able to get hold of him. I don't know. It's so difficult to gauge an idea. However, I do like all of these targets. We've We've had good, strong links to all of them. And if we sign any of them, I genuinely think I will be quite happy. I think they all add another level to this Tottenham squad. My main issue is we're not moving quick enough. Teams all around us are signing, they're strengthening. Pre-season is what, less than a month away now, give or take. So we really need to get things together before we go away on tour. We've got a lot of work to do, but let me know in the comments which one of those 5 attackers you think Tottenham should sign. Should it be Mbeumo? Should it be Eze? Should it be Simon? Should it be Kudos? Should it be Semenyo? I have no idea what's going to happen. I know what I would like to happen. Let me know your thoughts. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, like it, and subscribe to the channel. There is more transfer content coming your way very, very soon, so make sure you don't miss it. But for now, enjoy the sun, enjoy the heat. As you can see, I'm very hot. Subscribe to the channel once again. Enjoy your weekend, and as always, come on you Spurs.